I want to talk about how nobody ever notices that Clark Kent is Superman because he just wears the glasses in one versus the other. And I was curious because in the most recent episode of My Adventures of Superman, if you're watching that series, cool. If not, this same principle will still apply. I wrote a little bit down just to kind of keep track of everything, and I also noticed how some people on Reddit were saying a similar thing as well too. It's like, how does nobody notice that Clark Kent is Superman? It's like you can tell that like his closest friends can look at his face. And I liked what one of the guys said on this thread is like, truth be told, you only see the things you're looking for. For instance, one of my friends said that his dad looks like Kingo from Eternals. Now, I've watched that movie 100x, and Kingo was my favorite character, but I did not see it until they put my dad's photo right next to Kingo's. Then it was clear as day. The only difference being that my dad was taller and more muscular, but the face was the same as how Henry Calvin wore a regular outfit in public and wasn't noticed. This is the thing that I want you to keep in mind and why I highly recommend that whatever you're doing right now, in all likelihood, people are not paying as close attention to you as you think they are. And that's the underlying series or underlying message that Superman has, because his disguise is so like it's the simplest disguise that you could ever imagine. It's like all his disguises is he puts glasses on. Maybe he wears like a little bit nerdier clothes, but other than that, like you could tell if you took some time out of your day to be able to find it. And that's why Lois has been able to figure out why Superman is Superman. And within the last episode, which if you've watched it, season 5, Entangled Superman, you can see that the underlying message, as I will show you right here in this one, is basically it's right in front of you. This is what the reporter says, is like it's right in front of you. Jimmy brings Kara around the city, not knowing that Jimmy is the exact person that she needs to be talking to. A lot of the times we think people are paying close attention to us and what is going on when this is not true. I used to believe that everyone was dumb not knowing Clark Kent is Superman. This is not the case. It is that everyone else is in their own worlds and don't have enough time to pay attention to what is going on around them. So if you're on an adventure, you're trying to accomplish something, you're wanting to do something with your life, in all likelihood, you'll be able to do it and nobody will ever even pay attention to you. But even if they do mess up, and I do this all the time, like I'll go out in public. I don't do it as much as I once did. I kind of do so with strangers, but not to the same extent. But like if you go out and lay on the ground or sit at a table by yourself or like go to the bar by yourself or a movie, do something that like you feel is quote unquote uncomfortable and you think people will like scold you, me posting videos, let's say, skydiving out of a hot air balloon. Maybe some people will think that's crazy. You're jumping out of trees, whatever it is that you end up doing, like go do that thing and realize that nobody's paying attention to you as close as you think they are. You could go do whatever you want to do because nobody's actually going to pay attention to you. Just obviously don't break any laws, do anything illegal. I'm not telling you to do any of that. But in all likelihood, like if you wear a disguise and change your appearance, nobody's really going to question it. I used to have short hair. Nobody said like, hey, your hair, like some people be like, hey, your hair's long. I'm like, yeah. Like, oh, okay. And we leave it at that. I've even done some like man buns and stuff like that. And I was expecting to get scolds or like the beard or whatever it is. Nobody cares. They just don't because they're too focused on their own little world and what they're thinking about themselves. So if you want to try something, you can go try it. It's really that simple. So it's like we think that people are watching us and paying close attention to us. However, very few are going to see what we see. And this is a great part about having awareness and being able to self-evaluate yourself like I do each and every single night before I go to bed. During meditations is like what went well during the day, what didn't go well during the day, and then using those said things to help me improve my life in the long run. You can do the exact same thing with training, practice, and trials. So what we see is what we're looking at throughout the world and through our own eyes. Like sure, we can get close to seeing what somebody else sees, but we will never be able to see all the things as we are not them and we are us. So all we can ever see is like, I can only tell that what you can see and you can only see what you can see versus I can only see what I can see. Like sure, we can talk and we can have communications, but like we can be looking at the exact same picture, the exact same photo, the exact same person and see two different people or two different perceptions. I'd always get told that I look like somebody. I don't even remember who it was off the top of my head. It used to be a soccer player, but that's when I had short hair. And I was talking with these girls at the gym the other day, and they're asking me, like, what type of actor do I look like? And I was like, I don't know. And they showed me photos like the actors that they did look like. And to me, I was like, sure. But like to them, they're like, I look exactly like this person. And I was like, that just didn't make sense to me. But to them, it did. So it's like, when we look at the reporter, she's only looking at what is right in front of her. So like within the most recent episode, you see this whole scene unfold where she's like trying to figure out who's dating Superman and who Superman's involved with. And she's only looking at the same 5 contestants that are right in front of her. When in reality, she's not considering people outside of the 5 contestants that are right in front of her. So it's kind of like, maybe we're all being blinded to this exact same way. Maybe we're all just looking at the things that are right in front of us. We're focused on this little box instead of like looking outside at a different angle, from a different perspective, from a different point of view. but we've become so accustomed to telling us the same stories because that's all we are, is just constant stories that we tell ourselves. You can check out my video that I did on It's All Imagined. It's around if and like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Highly recommend that. But it's like, this is all we end up doing is we only know where we are right now, and we can't be anywhere else other than here. So it's like being able to think outside of the box and thinking about different solutions. It's just if nobody presents that other solution to you, you're kind of like, well, what am I supposed to do? How do I find this solution when I've only been told that I can do this or that? But it's like, what if there's a third option? Have you ever considered a third option? Because if there's a third option, maybe you'll be better at that third option than you were at the option 1 and option 2. But you have to think outside the box. You have to get creative. And there's a story where it's like this man puts 2 pebbles in a bag. One is smooth and one is rough. The man has a 50-50 shot of getting the guess right on what the rock would be if he picked it out of the bag. But the downside is, like, this is the scam where they put the same rock into the bag, and the rocks that they put into the bag are the ones that you don't want to choose. So the thing is like you pick out the rock, but like you drop it and then like you kick it to the side. It's like, oh, like what rock was it? And they pull out the bad rock, the one that like would have had you lose. So it's like, oh, I lost the rock, so the one that I chose must have been the one that made me win. So then you end up winning that scenario, but you thought outside of the box, whereas most people, they won't think about that other scenario. They just think about those 2 rocks that are right in front of them instead of thinking about a different creative way out of their current situation or whatever it may be, because they're only using the information that is presented with in front of them. There's a show that I've been watching a little bit. It's called The Mentalist. Maybe you watched it. It was on CBS back in like 2015 or something like that, or ended in 2006 to 2015. It was kind of based around psych. Psych I absolutely loved, but The Mentalist is also pretty cool. And it's kind of what magicians do. They have this illusion of control. So it's like you think that you're doing the right things, but it's like you're just being influenced to control and go down this path that you think you are. Maybe that's what's happening to you in your life right now. Maybe that's what's been happening in your life, but maybe you aren't necessarily aware of it because it takes some time to become aware of it. But if you go through practice and repetition and you start looking at outside of yourself sometimes, like being like, okay, well, I do notice that this person kind of looks like this person, but like I'm the only one that's actually going to see that said thing because I'm the only one that can truly process my information within my own head and nobody else can process it for me. So I can only come to the conclusion that, yes, Clark Kent is Superman and Superman is Clark Kent. But like, if you're not close to him and you're just watching him on the news and you just see one version of him, you're only going to think that that's who he is. Like, if people only ever see Clark, it's like, oh, okay, that's just Clark. But if people only ever see Superman, they only ever think Superman. Whereas Lois and Jimmy, they got so close to Clark that they started to realize and question, like, it's kind of weird that he disappears all the time. It's kind of weird that he's doing this or that or whatever it may be. And then they came to the conclusion that he was Clark. But like other people that just kind of see him in passing, they don't think about those things because they're too focused on themselves, as I was talking about at the beginning. So it's like you had to be willing to think outside of the box. And we all have secret identities. We all have identities that we don't show the world. There will always be people who don't like us, regardless of what we do and how it is good. They just don't necessarily see it. And that was kind of, I guess, a subtopic for a different video, so I don't even know why I said that. That was kind of where I started the script, but like you can kind of get the whole point of like, this is what ends up happening when there's an underlying stories within other messages about how everything that you need is right in front of you and everything that you have is everything that you need right in this specific moment, but you have to be able to look at it from a creative outside perspective instead of looking at it from the exact same angle that you always have been looking at it from. Cool. Hope you liked the video. If you did, click that subscribe button, completely free. Catch you in the next video. Thanks for all the feedback as well too in the comments and everything like that. Really helps me out a lot, seeing that I'm making an impact and helping each and every single one of you. It warms my heart. It really does. So, thank you.